Close your eyes and let yourself drift back to a world of clattering iron, billowing smoke, and the relentless rhythm of the machine. The Industrial Revolution, a time of progress, yes, but also of exhaustion, of lives spent in the shadow of the factory bell. Tonight, we'll wander through the soot-stained streets, the crowded mills, and the hidden corners of an era that reshaped humanity. But at what cost? You wouldn't last a day in the Industrial Revolution because by nightfall, your clothes would be filthy, your hair greasy, your skin covered in grime. Forget bathing. There was no time for that. The workday started before sunrise and ended well after sunset, 12 hours of backbreaking labor for a single wage. Listen to the distant hum of machinery, a sound that never ceased. And imagine, just for a moment, what it would have been like to wake before dawn. Your bones already aching, your lungs heavy with dust. Face another day in the textile mills of 19th century England. This is boring history for sleep, and tonight we ask, why you wouldn't last a day in the Industrial Revolution? And if you were a child, there was no school, only work. Your job depended on it. So take a deep breath, the air thick with the smell of coal and metal. From then to now, 1. The echoes that remain ***. As we leave the 19th century behind, listen for its faint echoes in your world tonight. The hum of your refrigerator where ice once had to be hauled daily. The click of a light switch where candles once dripped onto fine mahogany. The silence where factory bells would have shattered your sleep. These are the quiet victories of time-ordinary miracles that would have dazzled even the wealthiest Victorian. ***. 2. The gift of perspective. ***. History whispers its lessons in strange ways. The Luddites asked if machines should serve people. We still debate this. The Bayer flood proved neglect has consequences. We still ignore warnings. The elite built walls to hide inequality. Some walls still stand. Your bed is softer than a duchess's fainting couch. And when you wake, no overseer will dock your pay for yawning. But tonight, you breathe cleaner air than any mill worker. 3. A closing thought. ***. Let the past settle around you like falling snow. Interesting to observe, but never cold enough to disturb your peace. The machines kept spinning. The world moved on. And now, in this moment, you are safe. The factory whistles are silent. The beer has long since drained away. The servant's stairs lead nowhere now, and you ain't. You may rest. ***. Final ambient sound. A single chime fading into complete silence. 10 seconds of pure quiet before automatic video end. Picture this. You are 12 years old.
Ow.
The darkness outside is still thick when the factory bell rings. Clang. Clang, a sound that means move. Hurry. You're already late. Your bare feet slap against cold stone as you rush to your station, the air already thick with cotton dust, clinging to your skin like a second layer of clothing. Machines never stop. The thunder of the looms is constant, a deafening roar that vibrates in your teeth, your skull, your bones. There's no ear protection, no brakes for quiet, just the clatter-clatter of gears. The hiss of steam, the shouts of the overseer. By midday your head pounds, but you dare not slow down. They call it mill fever, the coughing, the weakness, the slow collapse of your body. But there are always more children waiting at the gates. And the dust. Oh, the dust. It coats your tongue, fills your lungs, turns your handkerchief black by noon. If one snaps, you must tie it quickly, perfectly, or the whole batch is ruined. Your fingers move on their own, numb from repetition, while your mind wanders. A moment's distraction, a loose sleeve, caught in the Gearzan snap. The story spread in whispers. A boy lost 2 fingers last week. A girl's hair ripped clean from her scalp. The overseer calls it carelessness. You call it fate. ***, the windows are blackened to keep out distractions. So you measure the day only by the lightening of your limbs, the growling of your stomach. 16 hours pass in a haze of noise and exhaustion. When the bell finally rings for night, you stumble home if you have a home to a cold meal, a cramped bed, and the knowledge that tomorrow it begins again. To the fields you'll never see again, to the games you used to play. 2. The monotony that wore down minds. ***. Your job is simple. Watch the threads. But wandering minds are dangerous here. The machines have no mercy. 3. The invisible clock asterisk time bends in the mill. This was life for thousands. Not for a week, not for a year, but for a lifetime. And as you lie here now, in the quiet dark, let that thought lull you deeper into history's embrace. Asterisk. Pause, gentle, fade out of factory sounds, replaced by soft ambient noise, distant rain, rustling paper, transition phrase. But not everyone accepted this fate, and soon the machines would face their first rebels. How the Victorian elite avoided the grime. 1. The art of doing nothing. Asterisk. Now. Let us step across the great divide from soot-stained streets to sunlit drawing rooms where time itself seemed to slow. We're in the country estates of England's elite. Work was not merely avoided, it was designed out of existence. The most strenuous task? Perhaps choosing which silk gown to wear while reclining on the chaise longue? Doctors warned that excessive thinking could damage a gentlewoman's nerves, so she practiced the delicate art of being, beautifully, expensively still. Imagine a typical day for Lady Charlotte, rising at noon, her corset laced by silent maids, her breakfast brought on a silver tray. 2. The invisible army. Asterisk, of course. This luxury required an entire unseen world humming behind paneled walls. 30 servants might maintain one household. Scullery maids who scrubbed floors with hands raw from live footmen standing motionless for hours. Their powdered wigs itching terribly, laundry women boiling sheets in cauldrons until their faces shone with steam. The rules were absolute. A lady must never witness labor. Servants used hidden staircases, ducked behind doors at the sound of footsteps. When the bell rang, they appeared silent, spotless, as if conjured by magic. Asterisk, a single stain on one's reputation could mean social exile. The right china pattern. The correct way to hold a teacup. These were matters of life and death among people who had nothing but time to judge. And yet, for all their wealth, the elite were prisoners too. 3. The illusion of control. Asterisk. As you lie in your bed tonight, consider this paradox. The factory owner who demanded dawn to dusk labor from children could not bear to see a servant dance his calloused hands at dinner. The same steam power that blackened Manchester skies also heated marble baths for industrialists' wives. Progress, it seemed, existed to serve one immutable law. Some lives would be spent so others need not move at all. Asterisk. And with that thought, we return to the present where the hum of your radiator, the weight of your blankets, are comforts no Victorian could have imagined. 1. The first whispers of rebellion. Imagine now. A different sound cutting through the factory clamor, not the screech of metal, but the crack of splintering wood. A group of shadowy figures moves through the night, their faces wrapped in cloth, hammers in hand. Their target, the machines that took their livelihoods. These were the Luddites, not mindless vandals, as history often paints them, but desperate men, skilled weavers, once respected, now reduced to starvation wages, while machines churned out cheap cloth. Their anger wasn't against progress itself, but against the invisible hands that left them behind. Asterisk, they took their name from Ned Ludd, a folk hero, perhaps mythical, who was said to have smashed a loom in defiance decades earlier. Now, his legend lived in secret meetings, an oath sworn over flickering candlelight. Their message was simple. If the machines won't feed us, the machines must break. Soldiers patrolled mill towns, their boots echoing through cobbled streets. Informants lurked in taverns, listening for whispers of rebellion. 2. The government's iron fist. Or were they the first to see the cost of progress, the human toll hidden beneath the factory smoke? Asterisk, the response was swift and brutal. Parliament declared machine breaking a capital offense, punishable by hanging. The most famous trials came in 1813, in York. Dozens of men stood accused, their fate sealed by hastily passed laws. Some were sent to Australia in chains. Others walked the gallows in silence. The message was clear. The future would belong to the machines, and those who resisted would be swept aside. Asterisk. Yet, The question lingers. Were the Luddites simply afraid of change? 3. The legacy of broken looms. Asterisk, asterisk today. We use the word Luddite to mock those who resist technology. But history is rarely so simple. These men weren't enemies of invention, they were casualties of it. Rebellion wasn't against the loom, but against a world that valued cloth more than the hands that wove it. And as you drift deeper into sleep, consider this. The machines won. The factories grew taller, the cities louder, the workers smaller beneath their shadows. But for a brief moment, in the flicker of torchlight, a few dared to ask, progress. For whom? Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk pause transitional ambient sound. A distant crowd murmur, fading into liquid trickling and eerie, foreshadowing shift. But not all disasters of the industrial age were so deliberate. Some arrived with a force no hammer could stop, and left streets flowing with an unexpected tide. Notes for continuation. Segment 3 will balance the bizarre, almost darkly humorous nature of the beer flood with its tragic human cost. Using subdued language, transitions will guide listeners from societal unrest gives unintended catastrophe, gives the stark contrast of elite life in Segment 4. The mystery of the London beer flood 1. A brewery's fatal weakness, asterisk, asterisk London. 1814. The Horseshoe Brewery stood like a fortress in St. Giles, its towering vats holding enough beer to drown a street which, as fate would have it, is exactly what happened. For months, the giant wooden tanks had groaned under the weight of fermenting porter. Iron rings, meant to hold the staves together, had rusted quietly. Workers noted cracks, leaks. But the rhythm of production never slowed, until without warning, the largest vat gave way. Explosion was heard for miles. A wall of beer over 300,000 gallons burst forth with the force of a tidal wave. Bricks, wood, and metal became deadly projectiles. The brewery's back wall collapsed, and a dark, frothing river surged into the slums beyond. Asterisk, asterisk. The beer crashed through windows, flooded stairwells, and trapped families in a rising tide of alcohol. Survivors described a sweet, malty stench clinging to the air as they waded through waist-deep porter, grasping at debris to stay afloat. 2. The tide that swallowed a neighborhood. One elderly woman, Mary Milvey, was found still sitting in her chair, buried under bricks and beer. A wake was held in the ruins. With what remained of the brewery's stock, asterisk, asterisk, the brewery rebuilt within a year. In London. Ow! Well, London went on drinking. Asterisk, asterisk. In the basement dwellings of New Street, the poor had no warning. 8 people died not from drowning, but from the crushing weight of barrels and collapsing walls. But here's the strangest part. No one was punished. The coroner ruled it an act of God. 3. The forgotten lesson. Asterisk, asterisk, the beer flood faded into legend, a darkly comic footnote in history. But if you listen closely, you can still hear its echo in every factory whistle, every ignored safety check, every "it won't happen to us." Progress, it seems, has always flowed as unevenly as beer through London's slum. Some float, some drown, and the machine rolls on. Asterisk, asterisk. Yet while the poor fought waves of porter, the wealthy dined in rooms where not a drop of sweat let alone beer ever touched the table. Notes for continuation. Segment 4 will contrast the preceding chaos with the calculated idleness of the elite, using rich sensory details to immerse without overstimulating. The conclusion will tie all segments together with a soft, sleep-inducing reflection on modernity's comforts.